I'm Alexandria Miziker, and I'm here today with Donna Algieri and Robin Renner, a lesbian couple and same-sex parents, and I'm here to interview them on their experience as same-sex parents. So, how long have you been together?
Very long time.
Since
78?
1978.
36 years, a little over 36 years.
That was a long time. When you decided to have your family, were there any problems in the process besides the biological aspect?
Besides the biological aspect, it did take us, how many tries?
6.
We had decided to use alternative insemination with the help of the people at McDonald's Women's Hospital, which is now part of University Hospital. And so it was over an 8-month period. In 6 tries, we took a couple months off while we moved here. And
That's $600 a try.
which was a lot of money back in the day, 21 years ago.
And yes, and the result would be?
Our now 21-year-old daughter, Angelin.
Mm-hmm. And when Angelin was born, did that change how others viewed you or interacted with you?
Besides the classic parent arriving on scene and them asking where the child is, it's, not Angelin, did you bring your parents? It's where's the baby? So that was that part of it. But then there was also, I guess, because it was so new to the LGBT community, it wasn't. There were people that were confirmed childless in the culture, and there were some that just didn't get why we would want to be like straight people.
Gotcha.
So then we lost a couple of friendships. Not friendships, but we stopped hanging out with some people.
Gotcha. And who was your support system, or where did you go for support or resources?
Our family.
Primarily, yeah.
And friends. Friends that... mostly straight couples who had kids.
Right. And there wasn't really any... there was some... It was so new that there weren't really support groups around families like ours. We, people would go out of their way to introduce us to other families that were like ours, which, what do we know? 3. And then you did find that one.
The group, the Families by Design, I believe it was called.
Mm-hmm.
But Angelin was probably 9 or 10 years older than the majority of the kids that were in that group.
So it was nice. I mean, it was a group that got together, go to the movies or do social things together, but it would be our 11-year-old and a bunch of 4- and 5-year-olds. So it didn't
work.
Right.
No.
Were there any issues enrolling Angelin in preschool?
I think we probably went through a lot of the same anguishing decisions that any parent goes through on selecting a daycare. We ended up, our criteria being one that was, and she moved from daycare right into preschool. So she was with family for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she started at 3 was when she was at preschool. And she, it was just diversity was our main thing. So we figured the more different kinds of families. There weren't any other families like ours, but all different combinations of parents and
grandparents
and colors and cultures. So that was...
And then was there any difficulty from like teachers or other parents as far as having same-sex parents?
Not from... I didn't experience anything from other parents.
Right.
I don't think there was any issue with teachers either.
No.
Once we got to the point where she went to elementary school, and we heard that they were opening a charter school very nearby that was based on Montessori, and we purposely waited a year to enroll her in kindergarten so that she would be one of the oldest kids in the class instead of one of the youngest. And that school was fantastic. They were very embracing of us, and I volunteered up there a lot when I could get over there, and we were always welcome from the parents and the teachers and staff. Absolutely.
And I think part of our approach to it was we're not going to make a big deal out of it, and we let Angela take the lead, and if people asked, we would say, we didn't go into big details, but yeah, she has a mommy and a Donna. That's what we did at that time. Now we're both her moms. That was a mistake I made. Not making us both moms from the beginning.
Well, it gets confusing when somebody's yelling mom and there's two of us.
Did Angela never express frustration or difficulty with having two moms instead of having a mother and a father?
I don't.
No, I think
not as a young kid. I mean,
no. I would say in the last several years she's expressed interest in where she came from, and since we used an anonymous donor, there really isn't a way for us to go back now and change that. At the time, we didn't want any complications with somebody coming along and wanting visitation or wanting custody, because we weren't the type of parents that they felt they wanted to have raising a kid. And we just felt that was the best way then. If I were doing it over again now, for the sake of her, I probably would make it like an open thing, not where somebody shares custody, but where at 18 or something she could go and find out the other part of her heritage and stuff. Right now, the best we can do is we did an Ancestry.com DNA test just to try and get her ethnicity so that she would know for sure what her ethnicity was.
I think the only preschool type problem was the first time it came around to a Father's Day project. But I would imagine that everybody deals with that. There are non-traditional families that, you have to kind of work around that. And it wasn't a big deal. It was just, you don't have a father, you have two moms.
And she would make her project either for her grandfather or
Was
an
there
uncle.
anything from the teacher, though, that was like, oh, or do you have to do this? Or, because sometimes, it can be forced in a classroom, or do you not?
I think for that we knew enough in advance, like they would publish what's, and on Friday we're going to make Father's Day cards.
Okay.
So we were able to intercede and say, she doesn't have a father, so she's going to make something for her grandfather. Or for her Uncle Rob, or for...
Right.
Yeah.
And there were other kids in the class that were not being raised by two-parent families. There were a couple of kids who had grandparents only raising them. The parents weren't in the picture at all. So it wasn't really too unusual for there just not to be a mom and dad in every single kid's life.
Are there any thoughts or advice you would like to give to teachers who are unfamiliar with same-sex parenting?
I think the biggest advice is it's not that much different than opposite-sex parenting.
Right.
You have two parents. We love our kids the same. We don't always agree 100% the same. I'm sure now you have a dad that is one way when they pick up the kid, as opposed to when the mom picks them up. Could be completely different, just how they handle
parenting styles. All
sorts of stuff. There's our cat. How they handle, temper fits or whatever. It's no different. Our gender doesn't have much to do with parenting.
No.
We come right down to it.
We still, did soccer,
Mhm.
took our turn getting the snack. When she, decided to do some stuff in a little theater, we took our turn driving the carpool to the theater from the school because most of the kids were involved in it. So it really is has been so traditional as to almost be boring.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the biggest gift that a preschool teacher could give would be to not set a child with same-sex parents apart. They're not different. The kid is no different than any other kid in the class. The kid is the kid. Same way the kid is the kid if they have two grandparents or a mom and a dad or in foster care. I mean, they're kids.
Well, thank you very much for letting me interview.
Our pleasure.
Awesome.